Thanks for joining in another edition of the AARP Foundation Experience Corps in your community. My name is O.S. Owen, and I'm your host. And today we have the Black Butterfly in our studios, otherwise known as Stephen L. Carter, Sr. Thank you so very much, sir, for being on. It's been quite challenging to get you on because you've been very, very busy. And most times you're behind the camera producing the show. So thank you so much.
Being in front of the camera instead of behind the camera for a change.
Now, for our viewing audience, this is one of our stellar volunteers. And he's going to share with you his journey into the foundation. So start us off, Stephen Carter. How did you become exposed to the AARP Foundation Experience Corps?
Well, I probably have to put it in the very basic terms of what made me available. And what made me available is that I've been a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, Maiden Theta chapter in 1960.
Greater Theta?
Greater Theta. I'll have 60 years in July 30th.
60 years. Congratulations,
But the
sir.
point I'm making about Alphas is that our motto is, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all. And that's part of our DNA as an Alpha, that we have to give back to the community and look for the opportunities to share whatever skills, talent, etc., for the betterment of the community. So with that, you came to me, came into my focus to let me know about the assistance that you're looking to identify tutors for the AARP Foundation tutoring program. I had been doing some work previously with ex-offenders and job skills training, things like that. And it seemed almost a natural transition to go from training adults to training kids. And since I'm an avid reader too, to be able to tutor kids, second graders as it turned out to be for the last 4 years, it's been a very fulfilling opportunity for me personally.
Well, we owe you many thanks because you were the first brother to come on board, and you brought a group of other brothers with you. Now you're in
I'm in Miles Davis Academy, Magnet Academy, as they straighten me out. This is my kids straighten me out.
Yeah. And you've been there how long now?
4 years, into my 4th year.
And we have how many Alpha men there?
We have 3 Alpha men there, including our team leader is an Alpha brother. Mm-hmm. And we make a good combination. And we adopted one of our other tutors. She's an Alpha angel.
Okay. Well, I recall the day when we started, and it was my pleasure to look to our fraternity and find the brothers who could rise to the challenge. You know, one of our mottos is to go to high school, go to college. Right. And as we discussed in our meeting, that if you can't get out of elementary school, then you're not going to make it to high school. And reading is not just fundamental, but reading is essential. It's the quintessential skill that we need to succeed through life. So you and our fraternity brothers have supported Miles Davis in such a phenomenal way, and I want to say thank you. Thank you to Alpha Phi Alpha. Thank you for Brother Black Butterfly, and thank you for bringing the other brothers to way. So now you became a volunteer. What happened next?
Well, walked into school the first day at Miles Davis, walked into 2nd grade class. They weren't expecting me. The kids weren't. They were on a mat engaging with the teacher, and I walked in, and 2 little boys, 7 years old, jumped up and hugged me around the legs.
What was that about?
Well, I was hooked after that. You knew I was going to be a tutor for forever after having that experience with them, that I was received that way, and that they were so welcoming of me and glad to see a black male, because they don't have a lot of black male in the school. In fact, about maybe 3, including the janitor, 3 or 4, including the janitor, security guards and gym teacher. Yeah. But they don't see a lot of black men.
A lot of men, period, let alone black men.
Yes.
And just so to be remiss, that our fraternity, we have a mentoring program in that school as well.
That's right.
And that's why I thought it would be the perfect fit for the AARP Foundation Experience Corps program to work in tandem with the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternities program at that particular school, Miles Davis. So now, before I get into the heart of the conversation, what impact are you having on these students?
I see their growth. I see things like, for instance, my motto a mantra that I give them at the beginning of the school year is that they will be the best readers in the entire history of Miles Davis Magnet Academy. And we say that mantra every day, that that's their model. And you can see that growth. And sometimes I turn the tables. Today, for instance, I let them be the teacher. And they got into the role. Mr. Carter, I want you to read now. It's that kind of thing. And changing things around. We're concentrating on fluency. And with the fluency, they become better readers. And because I was a reader early in life, the old Hall Library, I went to Corpus Christi Grammar School, and me and my buddy Clarence Brown, we would go pick up with a little red wagon, books for the whole 4th grade. And we'd trudge up to the Hall Library, grab the books, and because I was the one bringing up the books, I got first pick on the books, so that started me being a reader, and I guess I've been a reader since
you mentioned Corpus Christi. What kind of student were you?
I was at the top of the class. I think my 8th grade year was a young lady. She beat me out, and I was shocked. Made me work harder after that, going into high school. But I was probably above average student at Corpus Christi.
So you've always understood the value of reading, and that makes you so powerful now as a tutor and a mentor with these young scholars to encourage and motivate them and to provide them with the emotional and social support that is required to be a leader. I mean, you've seen so much now. The heart of the conversation is that, okay, our program is called Experience Corps.
Yes.
And you bring your experience to the program. Now, we've talked a little bit about the benefit that they get from you. We've seen reading scores. Now, let me ask you, what are you getting out of this program? What are they doing for you? And tell our viewing audience, because as a volunteer, you've been here 4 years, so what keeps you coming back?
Well, I think part of it initially was my grandchildren were living in Detroit, Michigan, and they are about the same age as my 2nd graders. And I always thought or felt that I was living through them in a way. They substituted for my grandkids while my grandkids were still in Detroit. Now they're back in the Chicago area, so I see them much more often. It's a 40-minute commute to see them versus a 4-hour drive to see them. So the fulfillment that grandpas get, I think I get with them. I get to teach them. I get to share different things. They share things with me. The stories that 2nd graders will tell you, they will tell all about the family life. Pets dying, having birth, mom and daddy fighting. They are a marvelous thing. Each day is an adventure with my 2nd graders.
So now you don't have to make them yours. So you've got a list of grandkids, let's say to speak, that you've been able to influence and guide and motivate. How does that make you feel?
Well, here's one of the things. I passed in the hallway the other day, about 2 years ago, I had it about 2 years ago. And one of the things I did, give them a stone. It was usually a labradorite stone, something like this, but smaller. And I told them they had to keep this until they were in college and to remind them that they're going to be the best readers in the world and go to college. So the young lady passed me in the hallway and said, Mr. Carter, I still got my ring, I still got my stone. And I see that from them, that some of the life lessons, you might say, that I share with them, it remains. When I see them in the hallways now, they still, hands up, Mr. Carter, how you doing? Good to see you, that kind of thing. So I felt I made an impact, the fact that they're glad to see me in the hallway.
Yes. Now, you're one of our stellar volunteers because you do so much. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you are a curator, is that correct?
I'm an art curator, not in the classic sense, but because I have been a collector of art and art of the African diaspora. I'm a member of an organization called Diaspora Rhythms and been with them almost close to 10 years. And we collect art of the African diaspora. And my background, I was more Eurocentric trained until I became the director of marketing for the DeSable Museum back in the 80s. And that set me on a career of promoting artists of the African diaspora and just being exposed to their art. So that's been a great experience, and things that I share with my second graders too.
I know you bring the art to them, and they just love it. So you're bringing your gifts and your talents from your Experience Corps, to the school, to the students. Now, as the curator, the African diaspora, how important was reading in that?
The kinds of books I shared with them, the art in those books, it gives them another feeling about themselves, to see themselves depicted. Although I had one kind of curious case. I had gone to, a couple of years ago, Kerry James Marshall had an exhibit at the Museum of Contemporary Art downtown. And I got this book about his artwork, and I left it on the table. And unbeknownst to me, they were reading through the book. And I had forgotten that the book contained a number of nudes.
How curious
They
minds
let
wanna
me
know.
know that they're, oh!
Okay, well,
I heard them take a deep breath.
and to see, art in its natural progression. Now, along with that, you're also a writer, an editor. Tell us a little more about that, because see, that ties into your gifts and why you're such a stellar, volunteer. It's not just the work that you do with the Experience Corps program, it's the work that you do collectively. And I want to encourage our folks out there who do things collectively. Your talents and gifts can be greatly used here at the AARP Foundation Experience Corps. And if you are very interested in volunteering with us, you can call us at 312-660-8655. 312-660-8655. We are looking for folks that are 50 and over to be tutors and mentors for kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders in the Chicago Public Schools, like our very good friend here, Black Butterfly. So now, you're a writer as well. You're a reader, you're a writer. Tell us a little bit about the writing.
Well, I guess I've been a writer since my sophomore year in high school. And to see my name, my first byline as a sophomore in high school, it just set me on a writing career from then on. It was just such a thrill to see a byline of mine. I've been writing ever since. Now I'm managing editor for the South Shore Current magazine, for the West of the Rhine Current magazine, and the new West Side Current magazine. And that's been an experience, the different things I get a chance to write about. Many times it's art, sometimes it's about business, but it's things that are happening in the community that I write about. And I'm able to give a little flavor to the stories that I write and what I write about and who I choose to write about. But there are people who are doing things in the community who are making a difference. And I think I choose good people to write about and who are making a difference and they need to be made known. And it's my way too for recruiting writers, not writers, but tutors for AARP. I've written a few articles about AARP and what we do and the kind of things we do. And then when I'm out in the community, I always talk about AARP and what it does for me. It is
AARP Foundation.
AARP Foundation.
And AARP.
But AARP Foundation. But it has been a fulfilling thing to be able to, the tutoring, that's twice a week, not bad at all, 2 hours. 2 hours on Tuesday, 2 hours on Thursday, a little bit of paperwork, and the training that you get is so beneficial in making you a better teacher. You become an educator. You become more prepared. And it's not as difficult as one might think.
Well, because you're not an educator. You're not a teacher.
I'm an educator.
Well, let's say you're not a teacher.
I'm not a certified teacher.
Certified teacher through CPS schools.
Yes.
However, and the reason why I'm asking is this, so you can tell our viewing audience, if you're just tuning in, we're here with the AARP Foundation, and we have Stephen L. Carter in our studio today. You don't have to be a certified educator to do what you do. No. You bring your life gifts, your life skills, the reading and the writing, and you touch the lives of these little people, these young scholars, 2 days a week, 2 hours a day, and you've been doing this for the last 4 years, and you bring so much to the table. You bring your writing, you bring your art, you bring your zest for reading. And I want to encourage anyone out there, no matter what you're doing, if you have some time, you have the capacity, you have the desire to make a difference, to change the impact you have on these young scholars, please give us a call and join us. And join Brother Stephen L. Carter here, as he is the Black Butterfly. And speaking of Black Butterfly, tell us, how did that come about, Black Butterfly?
It's from an inspirational song by Denise Williams. Probably many people of my era know about the Black Butterfly and the lyrics, etc. And it's a very inspirational thing. And I was sitting on my patio one day, out in summertime, and a butterfly flew on my shoulder and rested there for about a minute. And I knew that was my inspiration. That was the name of my company that I do my consulting work for. And the Black Butterfly stuck with me.
Well, we once had a conversation, and we were talking about, butterflies and how the caterpillar strives so hard to be a butterfly, and goes into its cocoon and transforms. And that's what you've done with our young scholars in school. You've helped them transform. You've believed in them. You give them courage. I've watched them grow through your eyes, and I've watched them grow independently. I've seen some of the reading scores.
Yes.
Our students, when they start school, a lot of them start school with a 30,000 word deficit. They're behind. And through you and the other volunteers, you close that gap.
Well, I got to share one other story too. Recently, last year, new teacher, second grade. She had just come out, I think, at University of Indiana. First year teaching. I walked into the class. She had met me before. And I walked back to the back of the room, and I heard her talking to the students. And she used the term onomatopoeia. I said, Doug, I said something else. I said, I hadn't heard, the first time I heard that term, I was in college in a poetry class or something, onomatopoeia. And here she was, a student of it, she was a true educator, even though that was her first year. And she was using a term like that, and it showed what she expected out of them, expected in terms of their growth and what they would be able to achieve. And you could see that they were in rapt attention with them. And I worked so well with her. She was a golden apple candidate type of teacher. Unfortunately, she and her husband moved to the East Coast. I lost her. But the last day of school, each of the 13 students that were in the class, of 14 students, they wrote me a handwritten note, a gift certificate that I used at Benny's, a gift certificate, and it made me aware, it renewed, not my faith, but it made me know that I was appreciated and that I was making progress with them, that they had something to take away with me, with them, and part of my persona.
And see, and that's part of the impact that I wanted to talk about. You were appreciated, you were acknowledged, you were recognized, you were honored, if you will, for the gift that you've given these young scholars, for someone to care, to be a would-be grandfather, if you will, to be a man of color, to be a man of art, to be a man of literature, to be a man of men, and you brought all of that to this classroom, to these young scholars. And I just want to encourage our men out there, our women out there, but especially our men out there. You can and will have an impact with these young scholars, and we need you.
And it's never too late.
And it's never too late. And we are AARP. We look for folks that are 50 and over that have the time.
And believe it or not, I am 50 and over.
No way. No way. Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so.
My next birthday, keep this in mind for all the viewers, November 25th, which is Thanksgiving this year, I will make 80.
80.
I will make the big 80.
And the point is that it's never too late. Money and time are both spent the same way. The way we spend our money is how we spend our time. And when you focus on the money, the time passes. However, when you focus on the time, the money follows. And you focused on the time, and you spent your time so very well. I've watched you in the classrooms. I've seen you at the paper. I've been exposed to you in the African diaspora. Did I pronounce that right?
You got it right this time.
And thanks to you, not only are you touching the students, but you're touching the staff. You're touching the other volunteers. You are so encouraging. You are so motivating. You are so uplifting. And it gives us hope who want to get to 80, because we're always concerned about aging. Nobody wants to get old, and we have to age strategically. And by volunteering, you stay busy, you stay active. Sometimes when he and I together, folks think I'm older than him. You know,
I don't know how they would think.
maybe it's because of your olive skin tone, or I have the beard. You know,
The beard is probably what it is.
But nonetheless, though,
Uh-huh.
we live in a world where we constantly need to be motivated and inspired by each other.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say thank you for your efforts, for your time, for your gifts. I'm very proud and honored to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Yes, '06. I'm proud to be able to be a part of the AARP Foundation Experience Corps program, where we have volunteers like you that are stellar.
Folks don't know what they're missing. If they have not become a part of the AARP Foundation and things that they do, they should be. They better make a phone. What's the number we call that they need to know about?
Here we go. 312-660-8655. 312-660-8655. And just so you know, to our viewing audience, this is one of 28 programs throughout the United States. Chicago is one of the leading programs, thanks to volunteers like you, because you're not alone. There's a cadre of volunteers like you. And it's very special to me that you brothers dedicated your time at that school, Miles Davis, where we started out with an all-male crew, and we've expanded to having some ladies there. But to have men in the school is such a huge impact. And
I've even been a date on father-daughter dance day, the prom night.
So
I filled in for some of the fathers that weren't there, and I busted a few moves.
Yeah. Were they from a blast from the past?
They were. Soul trained for sure.
And believe it or not, now some of that stuff is still relevant.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so it goes circular.
Yes.
It goes circular.
Yes.
But I want to say that these students are going to remember you forever, like you remember your students. What teacher do you remember the most? As we have a few minutes left.
Sister Ann Francis.
And why?
8th grade teacher. She was a good educator at Corpus Christi, a Franciscan sister, and instilled great discipline in me. Discipline in terms of she taught me how to be an altar boy and say the prayers in Latin back in those days, and be a student of time and time management and being on time, how important. It's been a good base to have, to be on time or early for almost everything that I do. I never like to be late. I'm always early. It's probably helped me be a safe driver, too. That's one of the things I learned from the AARP Foundation in terms of being a defensive driver and taking the course. So many things that you will find your niche in AARP Foundation, the experiences that can give you. Just have to pick up the phone, call, come on downtown with the next VIS. And
So I'm going to ask you to look in the camera and
Yes.
give us your encouraging pitch to our listening audience. If anyone out there that's interested in volunteering, what would you say to
I would
them?
say call 312-660-8655. Ask for Mr. Othel Owens, Mr. O.S. Owen. He will lead you. He will not lead you astray. And the other benefits, the jazz nights that we have,
Tell our viewing audience.
the different events you take us to, plays, etc., for members of the of our tutoring corps. It's been a great experience in meeting the different people and the different things that we experience together.
See, when it comes from you, it's sincere. When it comes from me, it's work. So that's why I want you to look into the camera and tell our viewing audience to come out and see you and come out and join our team of committed and dedicated, volunteers, people who live in the community, stakeholders, people who have a couple of hours a day, 2 days a week. They just come on down and share the gift and talents that you've received in making our schools a more conducive place for our students to come in. I mean, we had Jeffrey White on the show, Principal Jeffrey White, and he said that it takes more than just the teachers and the principal to help our children. It takes volunteers like you that provide the social and emotional support that our students are needed. Once again here, my name is O.S. Owen. I am the host of our show, the AARP Foundation Experience Corps in your community. Today we have guests in our studios, Brother Stephen L. Carter Sr. aka Black Butterfly. In fact, Stephen produces this show for us, and today we have him in front of the camera as well as behind the camera. So once again, please, if you feel want to volunteer, give us a call at 312-660-8655. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to another edition of AARP Foundation Experience Corps in your community. Until next time, be safe, be careful, and remember, it's 2020. What's your perfect vision? We'll see you in the community.